of the center's programs and services are offered free or at very low cost. All of these services are open to all members of the trans, gender nonconforming, and non-binary community. This includes seniors, youth, and everyone in between.
Additionally, the center offers programs and services specifically tailored for members of the transgender, non-binary, and GNC communities.
Our community receives the care they deserve by one of the leading providers of healthcare for trans and gender non-conforming people. The care includes
hormone therapy, including management and education on how to navigate pre- and post-surgical care, and trans-sensitive pelvic exams.
Trans Lounge offers education and empowerment for the trans and gender-expansive communities through support groups, workshops, classes, and social events. Opportunities range from
drop-in spaces to share experiences and learn from others, intergenerational and neurodiverse programming, and a free binder exchange program.
Fitness and spiritual classes, support groups that cover specific topics including surgery, know your rights, trans history, and professional enrichment classes.
Compassionate and culturally confident individual and group therapies are available now, along with the 12-step program.
Areas of focus include healthy relationships and behaviors, HIV over 50, and domestic and intimate partner violence and abuse support.
Trans Wellness Center is first of its kind collaboration of 6 local organizations providing comprehensive resources and services for transgender and non-binary folk under one roof, including health and mental health services, support for our youth, support groups, legal services, housing navigation, benefits enrollment, and employment services.
The center's Transgender Economic Empowerment Project, TEEP, includes a wide range of services to help gender-diverse people reach economic stability, such as career development,
financial literacy, employment opportunities for employees and employers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Los Angeles LGBT Center's Virtual Trans Pride 2020. I'm Gina Bigham, and I am one of your organizers for Trans Pride. This is my 10th Trans Pride event, and I can't tell you how excited we are to have you here this evening. In the past, the Big Queer Convo has always been a very dynamic and amazing community forum and discussion salon. We try to bring in some of the biggest and coolest names in trans culture today. We've had amazing folks like Laverne Cox, Aidan Dowling, Kate Bornstein, and this year is no different. We are so excited to be welcoming actor, activist, model, the amazing, fabulous Isis King, star of When They See Us, and of course, from America's Next Top Model. And if that wasn't enough, moderating the discussion tonight will be a dear friend of the center, a multiple-time performer at our Variety show, and not only a star of Transparent, but also was starring pre-COVID on Broadway in Wicked. So leading the discussion tonight will be the fabulous, wonderful Alexandra Billings. And don't forget, following the Big Queer Convo, join us for a very special discussion salon and gallery unveiling as we show you for the very first time some of the amazing art that we have put together for our Trans Pride 2020 art exhibit. Curated by the fabulous Micah Bezant, we will be showing off some of this really powerful and spectacular art. So we hope that you will join us following the Big Queer Convo for our special discussion salon and gallery unveiling. We'd like to give a special thank you to our presenting sponsor, One West Bank, for sponsoring Trans Pride and helping us to celebrate this amazing and diverse community. And now, without further ado, moderating this amazing discussion tonight, the wonderful Alexandra Billings and our special guest, the fabulous Isis King. Ladies, take it away.
My God. Isis.
Hi.
Hi. Look at how big my face is in this screen. Look at how large my face is. How are you? How are you? How the heck are you?
You know, it is Pride, and I am super excited. Of course, it is mixed emotions with everything that's going on right now in the world, with COVID, with Black Lives Matter, with the killings of trans Black women, and also with Trump taking away healthcare or giving the right to discriminate when it comes to healthcare. It's been an interesting Pride, to say the least. I would definitely say it's been an interesting Pride.
And isn't it, I love that you brought up Donald Trump, because you know what's funny about you and me, before we talk about Donald Trump?
Okay,
we kind of know each other because, you know, we kind of know each other through the social media, blah, blah, but we've never actually like spent actual time together. And
except for at that table.
Right. But that was like, there was a lot of things going on, and there was a lot, you know, like, I mean, like actual time together.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've told you this before, but now I'm going to say it for the world to hear, because you are one of my idols. I love what you post on social media. I love your career. I just want to talk for a second before we get into a bunch of stuff about this extraordinary path that you've carved out for yourself. And well, it's true. And you bring so much hope to other trans folk as well. Anybody actually who wants to be an actor and wants to be a performer, whether they're trans or not. But I think what's interesting about your career is that you have this identity as a model. Like everybody sort of is like, Isis King, the model. And I'm just like curious how you feel about that and what that means for you.
Well, before I even answer that, I just want to say that I adore you. You're iconic, what you're doing on Broadway. I remember we had so many conversations about you going to Broadway and prepping for that, and me telling you what to get ready for when it comes to New York. So I just want to say I'm honored to even be having this conversation with you, because I adore you, and your wife you and your wife's chemistry is just so funny. I got to see it in person, and I just love you. So yeah, this is really awesome.
I'm so excited. So excited.
Okay, so how do I feel about that? I think it's interesting because for as long as I've been a model, right, I've been an actress as well. And I think when they see us, the latest project I did, it was such a high profile that people are like, oh, you're getting into acting too. So the model and you're getting into acting. I'm just like, I've been acting the whole time too. I like to say actress and model, because although that many roles weren't available to me back then, you know, in 2011, I went to the Philippines for a month to shoot an indie film, you know, so I feel like my identity as an actress is just as great. And I like to be known as the actress and model.
Exactly. I think that's important too, because you have done other stuff. You have done film work, and you have done TV work, and you were on The Bold and the Beautiful. I just want to say that. And so
I love that.
Because come on. And so for me, you know, this idea of trans representation, I think is really important, but it's also really important just for us to continue working and doing different things, and for us not to be known as one specific thing. So here's the other thing I'm curious about that I think people would be really interested in. What brings you joy? What makes you happy? What do you do that brings you joy? And I don't mean like right now, because we're in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. I mean like just generally. What brings you joy?
I think my loved ones bring me joy. Most of them are on the East Coast. All my family is still in Maryland. My best friend is in New York. Most of my friends are in New York. I think loved ones bring me joy. For me, I've had to see my mom struggle through my entire life. So just knowing that I'm trying to accomplish something to also give my mom an easier life, that brings me joy, because that's the thing that helps me get up and to not give up on the crazy career path I've chosen.
It is insane of you, by the way. It is insane of you.
It's pretty crazy, especially because I feel like the movement I was just talking about this in another Zoom meeting the other day. I feel like the moment has just really started happening in the past few years where they're really given big opportunity financially, establishing opportunities to most of the trans people that are getting these parts. And it's like, what do you do when you've been doing this for 12 years and you've been trying to just stay positive and trying to stay focused along the way, when opportunities only meant all these big corporations wanted me to be there, but they didn't have the budget for me. So just to kind of stay afloat in this industry, to keep good mental health in this industry, it has always been a battle, but it's been something that I continue to conquer because I just feel like there's so much more for me to accomplish.
That's really, I'm so glad to hear you say that. I have a question for you, because for me, it's a complicated business. I love this business. I've never done anything else. I'm 58 years old. I've been in show business for 42 years of my life.
Wow.
So I think it's longer than you've been on the planet. But
yeah, I'm only 18, so
I know. So how do you, because yes, do you think that this profession treats you differently than it treats cis actors? If you walk into an audition and it's you and a cis actress, do they treat you differently, do you feel?
I don't physically feel it, but I know that it happens. Number one, to be in this bit, number one, to just be a Black trans woman. To be a woman, you're gonna get less respect than a man. To be a Black woman, you're gonna get less respect than a white woman or a Black man or a white man. To be a trans Black woman, you're gonna get less respect than anybody. So they can smile in your face, but I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen with my modeling career, when I've been to these castings and they loved me. And then I remember one time someone noticed who I was right after the director was like, "You're awesome. I want to give you all the information for the show. You booked it." I'm in this room with like 50 girls in bikinis. And then his assistant said, "You're that girl from Top Model, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, they know me." And then I didn't get any more details about the show. So I know in that sense, for modeling and for acting, absolutely. And even when you do book it, it's just like, okay, am I going to get the same rate? Are they going to fight for me to have the same rate? And I found that for the most part, I remember my big first campaign I did, I had no idea it was going to be that big. And I got $500 for it. And to look back, and when it came out and I just came this huge campaign, I'm like, oh, I had no idea this was going to be like a big deal. And like, that it was just me doing it. And it's like, oh wow, I only got $500 for this. And it's just like I can't survive off this, but they're really pushing it. Like they're so inclusive, and it's going to be a big deal for them and help them out so much. But it's like, I'm still struggling, So that's been the give and take with this industry. And like I said, I do see things changing slowly, but I do see things changing. And it's just a matter of staying humble along the way, which has been something that I haven't had to struggle with, but sometimes it has been like, when do you just show them that you deserve just as much without coming off as entitled, especially when they love you because you've been doing this for so long, but they don't have a budget for you. And I think for a lot of people, that's hard to hear. I don't think it's a conversation I really heard with someone in my position. But it's like, how long can I just smile and give the pageant smile just to appease to everyone else? But I'm still the one thinking.
I love what you just said, especially about entitlement. I was doing this show called something I don't remember. And I was sitting, and I'm sitting in a support group. And I had this big monologue, which, as you know, is very unusual on TV. Usually, they don't give you a lot of words.
Monologues make me sweat. My memory is
I
not that
love
good.
them. I love them. The more words, the better. But it was it was like a half a page. It was a lot of words. So I memorized it, and it was really beautiful, actually. So I did this thing. We shot it, and I was weepy, and the director he called cut. He came up to me, and he sat down and looked up at me, and he said, "That was great. Alex. That was just great. He said, now, if you could do it again, but like just a little bit more drag queeny.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. Can you show me?
Exactly. Like it. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole different conversation when people ask me, "Oh, have you been acting for this long? Why haven't you booked more stuff early in your career?" And the thing is, earlier in my career, the few roles were mainly roles that were sex workers with no character development, a few words, not that much to talk about. But I remember so many times I would go in there, and I've heard a director. I remember one time I talked to Angelica Ross about this. I've heard, "You're too petite. You're too passable." Earlier on in my career, if I was too passable, the role would go to a cis woman. I remember I loved Kerry Washington, but I remember one time she booked the role and she was like a trans streetwalker, or a sex worker. And it's like, I feel like early in my career, I came out 2007, and I was on Top Model in 2008. Back then, most of the few roles were just that, and it's like, "Oh, you're too petite. You're too passable." And I just last year I didn't book something, and they told my manager, and I had to kind of school her what it meant. But because we're in a more politically correct era, the director said, "Oh, we love her work, but she's too pretty." And I told my manager, like, well, number one, I can look like anything, but to me, the too pretty was the modern way of saying you're too passable. You don't look the quintessential trans enough, and I feel like that's an interesting thing to say, but I also love Ava DuVernay for giving me that part, because it got to show the world that I am okay with playing. I played pre and post transition, and I was excited about that because I was excited to show that as a trans woman, I'm an actress. I want to have this role. I want to be able to go into the dressing room and like have a wardrobe that looks nothing like what I have at home. I'm the one that asked to have the stubble on my face. I'm the one that asked to have sideburns with my cornrows, because I was just like, if I'm gonna go for it, I want to really go for it, and I want to show them that it's interesting. Like this many years acting, but I always feel like I still have to prove myself. But it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep showing them. I want to show Ava, and I want to show everyone that, number one, she didn't make the wrong choice, but number two, always getting typecast because my background is a model, to just be put into this, "Oh, you're going to be the little pretty character that might not have that much to say, but you're going to look pretty." No, let me show you that I don't care about looking pretty. Put a eye falling off. Give me cornrows and let me be a boy. Let me play an alien. Let me play anything to show you that I don't care about trying to look pretty. I just want to do my job, and I want you to give me a fair chance to show you that I can actually do this job.
Well, I think this is, first of all, really smart what you just said, and second of all, the foundation of part of the cracking of this country and globally, because what you're talking about, in my opinion, is white patriarchy. Because the idea that you don't look trans enough is so ludicrous, because that says to the men, because the men are the ones making the rules, that says to the men, I need to know before I touch you, before I have feelings about you, before I talk to you, that you look like my idea of what a trans person looks like, which is, my brother in a wig. If you don't look like that, if you look like something else, you're trying to fool me. And I ain't gay. Ooh. It's that whole thing. And I'll tell you something else. I am sick and tired of explaining who I am and where I come from and why you are transphobic, simply because you refuse to do the research. I am not your teacher. I am not your mother. I am not your educator. That is not my job on this planet. And so for me, I have made a decision, and I have said, you know what? Kindness counts. It matters. I navigate my way through the portal of kindness, but I will no longer step and fetch it for you, honey. I'm done.
Period.
I'm D-U-N. Done.
Period. 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 We are not a teacher. If we decide to explain to you or to break it down for you and do this extra work, which is always more energy for us, then that is a cherry on top for you, but we do not have to be your teacher because there's so much information out there. Especially now, for you to know the basic things and for you to have the common courtesy to treat us like decent people, or to treat us like people, because we're not your science project, we are not your experiment, we are not creatures. Whenever even a guy would say, oh, I've never talked to someone, like, I'm like, oh, like, what, an alien? Am I alien or am I a person?
Yeah.
We're just normal people, and most of the trans people I met are super, super talented, super creative, super artistic, and it's just like we're honing in on all this art, and we have all this art, and we just need to let it out and give us those opportunities to really show you. I guarantee we're awesome. I mean, I'm not even have to pitch it. I don't have to pitch it. We're awesome.
No, that's right. That's right. And you know, art is the reflection. Art is the reflection of life. The life experience, humanity, the human experience is in and of itself artistic. That is where art comes from. We tell the story of humanity. That's what artists do. And if you're not telling the whole story of humanity, if you're not telling everyone's story, and if you do not have representation from each of those containers, you're not telling the story of humanity. You're telling the story of your history only.
And I'm tired of, it's just like going through school hearing the same thing. It's so many things in the past year I've learned about Black history in America that are simple things that I should have known about in school or grown up knowing, let alone queer history. And I'm just like, oh wow, this is something that I should have known. Why am I just learning about that now, being the 19-year-old ingenue that I am?
That's right. Exactly.
But yeah, I think I'm glad that we're at this place, because I think even in cinema, people are tired of seeing the same thing. Even I've always wanted to be a superhero. I love comics. I love all of these things. And even to always see these pictures of like X-Men, because I'm the biggest X-Men fan, and all the pictures I see of fan like drawings is always that I'm like, I'm tired of seeing the one token, either Storm is in a picture or Jubilee is in a picture. It's like, can we get more than one minority in a group full of 10 people? Like, can we get something mixed up? Like, can we see more diversity? I think people are hungry for more stories of all of those different perspectives. We're tired of seeing one perspective. I want to see inclusion. I want to see people of all skin tones. I want to see people of all backgrounds. And I don't want us to just be included when we're the joke. I don't want the Black girl to just be included when she's the overly sassy bitch. I don't want to see the trans person or the gay person put in when they're just the overly flamboyant, because there's nothing wrong. We see those type of people. Hell, I'm that type of person once in a while, but I'm also all the rest of them. I'm also the shy one. I'm also the geek sometimes. I'm also the one that's the wallflower and out of place. We are all these different things. Why do we have to keep in typeheads? How come whenever I have an audition, and if it says like the Black girl, they have a whole description of the Black girl. If it's the white girl, a whole description of white girl. But if the role is trans, it's just trans. Why when I go into the audition, we all look like every single other thing that would be typecast, and we're all put in there. We're all gender nonconforming. We're just all different. You know, I see people in there that look like different things, and it's just like, do they realize that we can be just the same as everyone else? We can be typecast just like everyone else, but the right way. Like, show all of our different personalities. Show all our different looks. Mm-hmm. Don't just throw us in there to be one thing, because we can be everything.
You know, I really think that there is I know, girl's hot. I really think that there is a large contingency of humans, especially in our country, that still believe that the trans movement is an idea, that it's a fetish or a fad or or it's fashion or it's a choice, it's a decision of some kind, and that, you know, you should just stop it. Just stop it. You know, if you wanted to stop it, you could just stop it. So this idea of us being a class of people is still an uphill battle, which is why what you said is so brilliant, which is why when you see the word trans in an audition, it's just sort of this thing. There's no layers to it because they have an idea of this one community that they really think really only came into the public's consciousness in like the 80s when everybody was doing too much cocaine or something. Like they're like, oh, well, that's when it happened, isn't it? I've actually had people say that to me. Like, didn't you come up in the 1980s? I'm like, honey, I was in rehab in the 1980s. What are you talking about? So we have to get
like trans is real, right? I'm like, actually, what about eunuch?
Yeah,
so we don't even need to go into that. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, something tells me we were respected before all of this happened. But that goes back to rewriting history. It's like,
That's
oh, we're
right.
bad. We're going to hell. It's like
that we're murderers or we're child molesters or we're, and also
we're going into the bathroom to like peek in on people.
This bathroom thing, girl, I've been having this conversation about the bathroom. I started my transition in 1979. I've been having this conversation since 1970 freaking 9 with people. Why
are they so obsessed with the bathroom?
What is that? What is it?
They are so obsessed with the bathroom. Meanwhile, the only ones that are usually being harassed in the bathroom is us.
It's us. There's not one, literally, not one. You can find this. This is a statistic. This is a fact. There isn't one single case in the history of crime. In the history of crime. Where there's been a trans person who's attacked somebody in the bathroom. Literally not one case. I'm not saying there's a couple of cases. I'm not saying there's like 5 cases. Not one.
We just want to use the bathroom. And it's crazy to think that we even still have to have this conversation. We just want to use the bathroom. We want to get out. We're probably in there fixing our makeup or taking a number 2. We just want to, I mean, not me. Me and Beyonce, we don't do that.
No, you don't. I know neither of you do that. I do know that about both of you.
No.
There's no poo in you.
No.
My wife, who's a cis woman, will walk into the men. Ever since this bathroom thing got really, really hot all over again, she will walk into the men's room and pee. If she has to pee and there's that long ass line with the women, she's like, y'all want everybody to use the bathroom that you think? She's like, I'm going in here. I'm done. And I've seen her do that. When we're at like big events, she'll just walk into the men's room, pee, and come out. Because it's so stupid. It's a conversation.
You know the interesting thing about it when I really think about it? I don't know if I've ever heard this conversation, but it just hit me. They're trying to put the focus on us in a women's bathroom because all of the mischief is happening in the men's bathroom.
Right.
It's just like this light bulb, like, and it's usually the politicians.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's crazy, like they're really focusing on us when the only thing that ever happens sexually is in the men's bathroom. That's the gag.
And let's be really clear. What you're saying is absolutely correct. And let's be really clear. It is conservative, old, white men who are getting caught in the bathroom.
And who are the ones that's like gun-ho on us trying to take our right away? Conservative, old white men.
That's right. Weird. Let's think about that for a moment. So you have like, you have this whole you have this whole self-hatred going on. So they hate themselves, they hate who they are, they hate their queerness, so they turn to whatever it is they turn to, their Jesus or their God or their whatever, their books, whatever this thing is that they've decided will save their lives and they can repent and be fine. Like they can suck the dick and then they can go home and go, please forgive me, and then they'd be absolved. So
it's like, but it's different for me than you because you're living your life like that. I can do this one day and go and pray it away and then do it again next week and a week after. But you, what you're doing, being your true authentic self, not bothering anybody out in the world, wanting your safety and your health care, that's an abomination.
That's right. We don't want that, because you see, that is the constant reminder of who they cannot be.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to take it to church today. Ooh.
Girl.
Oh my goodness. Now I just almost felt the Holy Ghost. I feel like that's the real conversation. Can we take that to Pence, or is he too busy on his knees in the bathroom? I did not say that.
No, that's right. That's exactly where that man is.
I did not say that.
You did say that, and we recorded it. We're going to record that mofo. And, you know, and what about, okay, let's just, as long as we're here for a second, let me just say this, because this is making me really happy.
I'm getting so hot, and then all this.
So good, I'm glad.
I'm about to change wigs.
Fan yourself. Fan yourself. So here's the thing, Lindsey Graham. So here's what I'm reading. I know you're reading the same thing, because here's what's going all over the internet. These 10, I think there's 10 now, there may be a dozen escorts, male escorts from Grindr that Lindsey Graham, this like conservative, super old white guy, like super old. He's been in Congress since 1910. He's been there forever. And he's like, he hates the gays and he's sick of the gay thing. And
always
he just,
the one.
Yeah, always the one. So these like 10 or 11 male escorts from Grindr that he's been hooking up with are now contacting lawyers and getting ready to come out together and talk about his gayness and what he's been doing.
I guess they got tired of him trying to take their rights away from them.
Bam.
What's done in the dark, on your knees, will always come to the surface and to the light.
I'm saying, and here's the thing. For me, and this has been true my whole life, I have always known that all of the bullies and all of the humans that have chased me, like chased after me, and I've never understood, like, why are you so mad at me? I'm doing nothing. Well, we hate the way you walk. We hate the way you sound. We hate and I'm like, I don't know what to do. All those bullies that chased me were usually the ones that in secret, later that night, tried to contact me. They tried to call me. They tried to tap me on the shoulder. They tried to say, oh, can you meet me after school for,
Oh, girl, always.
Always.
Them, all of the DL men, all of that. Girl, I've had so many guys from high school that used to pick on me before I transitioned, but I was like a little feminine one in school. They're still DMing me saying how I'm doing while they look burnt out, and I'm just continually to like age like fine wine. No, thank you. I knew it though. It's like sometimes it's when you get the affirmation, you're just like, wow, this is always the case. Just like it's like the person that pull your hair in school that really likes you.
Right.
It's like, wow, like it never fails. Whenever I see people like this rapper, Little Scrappy, who constantly make horrible comments about trans people, I'm just like, wow, he reminds me of the boys in school. Mm-hmm. You either want to be me or you want to be with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always the situation. And it's just like, I feel sad for you. I feel sorry for you that you can't either be who you want to be or be with who you want to be. So you have to try to make yourself look so masculine, so against that, to take the spotlight off of you, like they always do. Like the ones trying to push the bathroom bill. Mm-hmm. The spotlight off. Let's get the spotlight off the men's bathroom and focus on what they're doing in the girls' bathroom. Taking number 2 and fixing your makeup. They don't even wash their hands in the boy bathroom half the time.
Nasty. Also, I know that the men that, and I'm speaking specifically about the men that love us at night, they need to now, because the world is cracking open, they need to now take a stand and love us during the day.
Mm-hmm.
They need to love us out in the open. They need to love us at a picnic, and they need to love us going to the movies, and they need to love us taking us to church and taking us to their houses for Sunday dinner. And that's when they need to love us, not just at night, not just after 5 o'clock when the sun goes down.
Period. I'm glad I gave that up in my 20s, like early in my 20s. I feel like it was this one guy that I met here, this athlete. And I was he's a way bigger personality now, but when we met, I was a bigger personality. And I would be like, oh, we went to lunch one time, and any other time he's like, you should come over. And I'm just like, let's go to the mall. I love the mall. Like, I just want to walk around the mall. And he's like, I don't do that type of stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not about to go back to who I was in my early 20s at the beginning of my transition. I see that if you cannot even go to the mall, whether you say it or not, I get it. And I'm not even going there. I work too hard to be exactly who I am. I've worked so hard to be confident in myself. And if going to the mall or going outside of like going to dinner at night, late at night, if that's too much for you, but you can still want me to come over and cuddle with you and who knows what else, it's not enough. It's not enough for me. It was enough for me at 21 because I was like, well, I feel love. Oh, you make me feel so feminine. Number one, fuck femininity. Because some days I feel super butch and it's not nothing wrong with that. And if that's not enough for you, you know what I hate? I'm going on a tangent, but you know what I hate?
What?
Guys that just come up to you, or even like I do online dating so much sometimes, and it's like they'll just be like, oh, you're trans, all that's cool. Don't you just love being feminine? And I'm like, don't I love being feminine? Number one, I'm not feminine all the time. You can see the pictures of me in the heels and the makeup, but I'm not feminine all the time. It's rare to even see a woman who's feminine. We're not in the 50s. I'm not wearing a bow on my head and an apron around my waist all day, every day for you. What is femininity? Because if to you femininity means wearing makeup and wearing heels every single day, then baby, you could go and pay a girl for that because that's not me. I wear flip-flops or combat boots half the time. Sorry.
That's right.
It's always about this image of what they think, and it goes back to how we're overly sexualized as trans women.
Mm-hmm.
We're just people. I'm not a mail order bride. I mean, you could get that if you pay somebody for it.
That's right.
but baby,
yeah,
I'm just out here just trying to live my life, and my life does not revolve around my femininity.
That's right. And I love the way you started it. Fuck femininity. I'm with you because my idea of feminine and masculine is most likely completely different than your idea or her idea or their idea or his idea. I have my own ideas about what those containers have. And I am changing as well. If you have an idea about the kind of person that you want to be with and they need to look a certain way, you better damn well expect to be able to turn the tables because they have to be able to say to you, okay, here's how I want you to dress. Here are the shoes I want you to wear. I want you to get in drag occasionally. I want you to wear this little nightie to bed every once in a while. So if I'm going to dress up for you, honey, you're going to dress up for me.
It's like, it's never about what are we getting. It's always about what you can do for me because it's like, you're trans. You should be lucky you're getting this. And it's just like, and I always say I'm the prize because it's just like, it took me so long to realize like, wait, you're the one that's like created me. So why are you acting like it's the other way around? No. So you're saying I have the power, but you want me to think that I don't have the power.
That's right.
No,
that's right.
It's like, I'm good. Because if I would decide to pull my clippers out, I don't know why lately I've been doing this like at least once a year or twice a year. If I just decide I don't want hair and I just want to buzz my hair off, if you don't want to be with me because it's not feminine enough for you, then fuck you. Thank you. Don't waste my time. Because if I don't want hair on my shoulders or on my back like I'm feeling it right now, just making me sweat, and I decide for a whole month I don't want hair, guess what I'm going to do? I'm not going to have hair. And if that's not good enough for you, God forbid, what if something happens one day and I don't have hair for whatever reason or something, and because you're so caught up in an aesthetic that you think is feminine, whether it's trans related or not, then I know you're not here for the long haul because things change, people change, shit happens. God forbid, what if down the line somebody gets cancer and they don't have hair? So you said, no, if I decide to cut my hair on my own, it's an issue. So that means like down the line, you would leave me when I needed you most. But guess what you would expect? You would always expect me to be there waiting on you hand and foot no matter what the fuck you bring to the table, which most of the time guys like that don't bring anything. I know that from experience. They want you to provide every single thing for you, but when you turn the tables around, what do they provide? Mm-hmm. What, a look? What, an occasional cuddle at night? What, dick? Which most of the time I don't even want anyway. I'm Demi. Like, I need an emotional connection, and if I'm not getting that, I'm not even feeling sexual towards anybody. So it's like, I'm okay. If that's what you think you're providing, oh, baby, you got the wrong girl, because most of the time a cuddle is enough for me. And if I don't have a connection with you, I don't even want to do that. So what are you bringing to the table right now? Nothing? Why? Because a bitch like me, I'm so good at being alone. If you're not adding to my equation, then you're taken away. And I refuse. I spent 18 to 28 giving away to so many guys that did not deserve me. So you got me started now. I didn't know I was going to go here.
So good. It's so good.
I did not know I was going to go here. I spent 18 to 28 giving away to these guys that did not deserve me, that did not deserve my presence. I stayed through abusive relationships. I stayed through controlling relationships. I stayed through using relationships. And what the hell did I get out of it? No. So I finally got to this place where I know my worth, and I know that I'm so good on my own. If you're going to come into my space, you have to be able to show me that you can add something to it, because I refuse to give so much more back to somebody who's not going to give me at least the equal amount of what I'm giving them. It's never going to happen again.
If you are not adding to my equation, you are subtracted from my life. You said that.
Ooh.
You
Put
just
that on
said
a
that,
t-shirt
girl.
and let's sell it.
Somebody needs to write that shit down, because you just said that.
Ooh, the spirit took over me.
I mean.
The goddess. The goddess took over me.
That was so good.
I should have prepped one of my bobs. I would have did a quick wig change, because I got so passionate. What, my baby hair's out.
It's so good. Well, you know what makes me so happy is that this is all about empowerment. This is about self-empowerment and all of us, just as human beings, but certainly as trans people, and certainly as trans women of color, that for you and I'm mixed race, and for me to walk out, I say this to Laverne all the time, and I think she actually was the one who said this to begin with, but walking out our front door is a revolutionary act. Just walking out the front door. So for you and I and trans women like us, because it's different for trans men. There certainly is stuff, but it's a different bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That they endure and they don't endure, because it's not, their lives have been, they gain power, you see. So as they transition, they get more stuff. They get more, their rise on the elevator goes up farther. As we become our own female self and present female to the world, we go down that elevator.
Push P1.
That's right. That's
we don't even
exactly
get
right.
to the ground. We're not even on the ground floor. We're like P1.
We're at P1, honey. And so for us, there's a whole other danger in not realizing our own power, which is why a week and a half ago, we just lost 2 more trans women of color. One who was dismembered and put in a suitcase and left the bottom of a lake. Are you kidding me? This can't possibly still be happening. It's maddening. And if we don't instill, Isis, if we don't instill into this trans community, this trans youth, a sense of hope and entitlement and self-awareness, we're going to end up right back where we started.
Yeah. I feel like I look at people like India. I love India. I remember I used to chat with her years and years ago on Facebook. And I'm like, oh, this girl is a firecracker. Well, now in India identify as non-conforming now. But wow, India was just so powerful. And I just remember them from back then and how awesome they were, but how shocking the content was. And to see them turn into the leader that they are today. And I remember someone was saying that the other day about how they look, I don't know what I was looking at, but they were looking at the younger generation and how like, wow, they're so much bolder. And it's like, I feel like me coming up where was nobody like me in this industry, kind of like put on this smile and not really sharing how I'm being done dirty behind the scenes. Why so India can just completely say what they want and be non-apologetic about it, it's so inspiring, because I think that is helping me to speak up more. And I know that so many kids and so many people follow me and follow my story for so many years, and I feel like I do owe them the voice that, not that I haven't had, but just to speak up more when I need to. Yeah, I love India.
No, and I think I love India. I love India. I love India's rage. I love their and I love their sense of self. I sat behind them at the Democratic forum for, I think it was HRC. That might be right.
Is that when Blossom and everybody?
Yes. That's when Blossom. Okay. Blossom walked down the aisle.
Blossom is so amazing.
Oh, she's the greatest. So, she's like a big ball of fabulous dice. She reminds me of like Lena Horne. She's this big dynamite, like she just crackles. But India was
literally the sweetest person, but will turn that into the most passionate in your face, and it's like, oh wow, like a quiet storm, like ha 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 ha, but don't try me.
No, don't. and I don't. So, but we were back at India, and India had her friends with had their friends with them, and they were so. There was such a. They were so alive in their ability to communicate how done they were from them. We were sitting on the balcony, and it was Kamala Harris was speaking. And, I have some problems with Kamala. I love Kamala, but I have some problems with Kamala. And as I do with every politician. But India was able to get their point across with a rage and with an anger, righteous as it was, and yet there was no confrontation. It didn't seem violent. But they take up an enormous amount of space. And for me, like you, I'm pretty honest with my life. I'm writing a book now. I'm pretty honest about my life. I've got a lot of big life, and I like to be honest about it. But I got to tell you, I got a long way to go before I'm able, first of all, to look at my own sense of racism, how I've been racist in my life. Also, what it is exactly I'm doing. What is the message that I'm sending across to the trans youth? What exactly am I saying? India knows exactly what they're saying. What exactly am I saying? That's my question to myself.
I think that's what happens when you're just growing in general, and we constantly grow. We should constantly grow. We see lately with all these examples of people who aren't growing, but there's an overwhelming amount of people who are. And I think that India is a good example to force us to kind of look at our own voices, but at the same time, I think it's important as trans people to know when, because it's so much going on, especially a trans person of color, with the Black Lives Matter happening, but then also there's murders within our own community and discrimination within our own community. I think it's important to know when you need to take space and take time for you and to recharge. I know I had one girlfriend who's a public figure, and a year ago when all this was happening, I remember her saying, I want to post like you're posting, but it's too much right now. And I said, you know what, sis, that's okay. I said, take your time, because we would rather, it's better for us to be strong and powerful like India does when you're speaking up, because we don't need you half depleted. We need you at your full potential. So if you feel like you need to take a break, a spa day, honey, a spa week, a spa month to just focus on you, to relax, people don't understand. I know what it feels like to just feel misunderstood. And sometimes, as much as people want to understand us, nobody will understand us like another trans person, especially a trans person of color. Who have to deal with this. Who have to deal with this. I've had to deal with that the last 2 days within my own life, to just realize, like, you might relate on some things as me, but nobody knows what it feels like to be a trans woman of color, especially a Black trans woman, to deal with this. Nobody knows what it feels like, and you can try to explain it all you want, and they can understand as much as they can understand. But at the end of the day, nobody will never, and you cannot compare it to anything. To feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel and nobody really cares, and they're constantly stripping things away from you from every single direction, from your family, from your community, from the LGBT community, where a lot of times you're even put down by them, by politicians trying to take away your rights. Nobody knows what it feels like. So if you need to take a week or a month to feel like you're going on a vacation and take time away from protesting or for speaking up because you feel like your mental health is more important, guess what, sis? Do that. And nobody can ever make you feel bad about that, because nobody will never know what it feels like to keep your mental health good as a trans woman of color in this country, or in this world, but in this country. Nobody knows what I feel like. So I would rather you be at 100, so that when you do speak, it's way more powerful and everybody will be ready to listen, and you'll be able to carry that weight that it takes to continue to push this movement forward. The goddess is speaking to me today. I don't feel no. Oh, I had one of these, something similar like this on Saturday, and it was so quick after like the deaths, and I try to speak about different things, and I was just so I'm a really emotional person, and when I get emotional, I get so flustered in my delivery. But right now, I don't feel that. I just feel passion and anger, and I feel like in that case, it's different when I'm emotional, and I feel like I can just. It's like tunnel vision. I'm in California. It's like I had an edible and I'm just focusing on one thing, putting all the energy towards it.
Yeah. An edible.
Before I fall asleep.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. What you just, God, well, I'm so glad they're recording this, because I think I really hope you watch this again, girl, because the preaching that's happening is just glorious. It's filling up my spirit. Billy Porter just wrote this amazing, just wrote this beautiful piece in, I think it was the New Yorker. I was talking to my wife about it. I think it was New Yorker. I could be wrong about that. And he wrote about the transphobia and homophobia in the Black community. Within this whole Black, so you have this movement, this amazing, important movement, Black Lives Matter, and then within the movement, you have stuff going on that is detrimental to trans people, detrimental to gay people, certainly detrimental to trans women, because most of these women, these Black trans women, are being murdered by Black men. Mm-hmm. That they not only know, but that they're in a relationship with. So I'm curious about the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement for you, and how you feel about it and how it's infiltrating your life right now.
So a week ago, I made a post, maybe it's like a week and a half ago, I made a post to say, I want to be there for my Black brothers, but I want to be out there protesting my Black brothers, but let me see how I worded it, because I feel like it ended up going everywhere and it ended up being so important. And I just want to word it right because it's important to me. Mm-hmm. I said, I want to protest for my Black brothers, but as a Black trans woman, I'm terrified to protest with my Black brothers. I hate that it's that way, one fight at a time, I guess. Wish I was being sarcastic. Some people didn't get it, but that was hard to write, but then honestly, I thought about India and I thought about so many other people who were just counting on me. And I had to take the guilt out of not being out there, because I felt guilty at the beginning. But I felt guilty as someone who's like terrified of huge crowds already, even outside of being trained. Terrified of huge crowds. Terrified of groups of my own guys or my own Black guys around me, around me. If I see a group, I'm scared. And I was just explaining this to somebody. Actually, I was talking about this story a lot, but Esau Nettles in in Harlem. A Black trans woman walking down the street, and this guy was trying to talk to her, and she wasn't showing any interest. And then I guess he realized she was trans, and he killed her in front of all his friends. Wow. I guess he had to prove his masculinity. It wasn't her trying to trick somebody. She was just out there in broad daylight, minding her business, just wanting to go home. with her friends, just wanting to go home. If I'm not mistaken, don't get me wrong. I think she might have been coming from some type of class or something like that. But she was just minding her business in the middle of the day. And that scares me because it's like, if they know that you're trans, like if you're not super passable, you risk being harmed because they know that you're trans. And then if you're passable and they find you attractive, you risk being harmed because now they have to prove to their friends that they're not gay. And then they harm you. It's just like, it just sucks because I want to be out there. This is my people. All the men in my family, with the exception of my baby brother, I have seen them behind jail. One of my uncles have been in jail for 22 years now. Most of them in my family are dark skin and brown skin. You know, like I've been visiting jails my entire life up until around the age of 21. I don't want to see them in that situation. I want to be there for them. I want to speak up for them. But it honestly terrifies me to be around a group. It does. And that sucks because I don't think it's fair, you know? And honestly, I shouldn't even feel like I have to explain why. I think it should be obvious. But here I am having to explain because people act like it doesn't exist. And then people are also, well, one thing at a time. When the fuck is the time to talk about people killing Black trans women? Because it seems like it's never the time. This is the perfect time. This is the perfect time to speak up about it. Because if we want to talk about unity and fighting back, then we need to talk about what's going on in our community. Because the only way we're really going to have unity and fight back is if we're doing it together. And doing it together is speaking about issues within, and even saying all Black trans lives matter. And they're like, so you're making it to an all lives matter movement. Like, oh, why are they trying to? Well, it's obvious if we say Black lives matter, it means trans too. And I'm just like, really? Take that conversation to a barbershop and tell me how it goes. Because I remember last year after When They See Us, I searched, my name in Marcy, like who was my character. And I searched it, and of course a guy was talking about a conversation that his barber was saying about, oh, no wonder, like I would have killed that thing too, blah, 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 blah. And he said that he didn't say anything back, and I'm just like, see, this is the problem. You have to call people out because we're never gonna have this conversation if you don't call people out when they do it. But yeah, I had to speak up on it. And it's interesting, on Twitter, I wrote Black Trans Lives Matter, and it has 820,000 likes. And I would say that shows me we're at a way different place because I've been saying the same thing for like 12 years. And honestly, it's the first time I'm seeing any kind of traction on this topic. Whether you like it, whether you don't, it's the first time I think people are listening. And I think it's just because, we have the pandemic, we have all of these murders. People are really, really, people finally have the anger. They need to deal with this thing. And it's like, okay, well, this is a part of it. Like it or not, we're bringing this along too, because guess what? It's been in that boat, baby. We got to deal with it. Sorry. And we have people in the younger generation who have all the energy, all the times we feel like, what, it's too much for us right now. You got people like India who is ready. And I think it's awesome because I feel like now we have so many more voices than when I came out 12, 13 years ago. And I think it's important because you have so many people who are respected, who are speaking up. And now we have allies who are finally starting to speak up. We need more of those guys, like you said, guys who love us. They need to speak up. And they need to speak up in those spaces where they really need it the most, like in a barbershop.
So how do we do that, Isis? How do we get those men to use their voices? How do we get them through? How do we help them through this portal of conditioning so that they can speak up? What can we do?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we see what happened with Malik Yoba, but that was a whole different.
Check.
Girl, that was a whole different situation. We have to specify guys who love us and not guys who fetishize us.
Yes.
Because there's a difference.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yes.
But they have to also know that we deserve to be loved. What can I do? Honestly, I don't know what we can do as trans women, especially trans women of color. I don't know, or Black trans women, because honestly, we are speaking up. I feel like now it's for the allies or the so-called allies to really step in within the Black community and take the conversations to their kitchen table with their brothers, with their mothers, with their fathers. It's time for these allies to go into the barbershops and call these brothers out when when they say certain things like, "Oh, we should be killed." It's time. It's not on us anymore, and I had to accept that because we already do enough. We do enough. Speaking out is enough. Going out the house, like you said, is enough. We're not these things that exist in the nighttime. They might have kept us there for so long, but guess what? We are not those people. We are fully developed, fully realized, beautiful people with careers, with personalities, with backbones. We are beautiful. We are passable. We are not passable. But guess what we all are? People that deserve to live and deserve to have a full life and full careers and health care and love, just like everybody else.
I would like you to come to my house and say that every day when I wake up.
I feel like I need this right now just as much because sometimes I tend to isolate myself. That's how I cope with everything. I isolate from everybody. Like I just isolate. And I know it's not healthy sometimes, a lot of times, but it's my way. I isolate and then I come out like a butterfly or come out like a bear after a hibernation. And that's just my way to deal with it. Cuddle music, get in the tub, have an edible.
You keep saying that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm in California, and like I said, it's something new for me because I've always been a person where I go like, "You're what?" Like I've been approved my whole you don't understand. I don't do anything. I don't do anything. I don't even have sex. I don't do anything. So it's like to just find this thing. No, I don't do anything. So to find this thing once in a while where it's like, oh wow, I discovered edible, but only a half dose though because girl, I'm a lightweight. But it's pop on some music, a little rainbow oil diffuser light at night, and just it feels nice. And then guess what? I'm ready next day to continue on with the fight. But I just want everybody to know that you can only do as much as you can do in our position. You can speak up as much as you can, but if you need to go within to continue on your own journey to find out who you are, to find out how you can ascend to the next level along your way, then you do that because guess what? The higher you get and the more conscious you are of who you are, the stronger your voice will be every time you speak.
I mean, what you're talking about is self-care. And if we don't practice that, if we don't care for ourselves, we can't possibly care for other people. It's impossible. I think it's really smart. Hey, listen, girl, I have some questions here. Would you answer just a couple more questions and then I'm sure you've got to be exhausted. My God. These are questions from people who love you, your fans, darling.
Oh.
I know, bless their hearts. They're just a doorbell. How is that? This is a good one. How is it working with Ava on When They See Us?
Okay, so Ava, it's crazy because she was my first time working with a female director. And okay, let me just tell you the audition process because that was so epic for me. When I got this audition, I was just telling my manager, I'm tired of just being typecast as the model type, the pretty. I want more. And then this audition came and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to book this. I got it on a Thursday. I think I got it on Wednesday. I had to film the audition on Thursday, self-tape, because they were already filming in New York in the prison. And then Friday, I found out that she wanted me to fly to New York for a second audition. I was just like, okay, I have to. I had my hair braided underneath of my underneath of my wig. And I flew down I have to get this. I have to get this because this is just going to solidify me in a way. I'm tired of people just saying, oh, so what are you doing since Top Model? I'm like, I've been acting this whole time. I'm just like, this is really going to show people. So I went all the way out there to the prison and I get in a room with Ava and it was her and it was her casting team. And then Jerome came in because he was already filming, so she wanted to see our chemistry. It was me and another girl. So I was like, I didn't fly all the way across country and I get this gig. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember I had to do the 2 scenes. First I did the scene as Marcy, then I did the scene as Norman, who was a flashback scene where Marcy was before transition. So I remember saying, nope, I had a plaid shirt. I had it planned out. I'm going to put on a plaid shirt because it would hide my boobs. I'm going to take my wig off, have the cornrows. Like, I don't want to half do it. I'll need her to see that I'm serious because of everything I went through with, not being too passable for these auditions. Yeah. So I was like, I need to show her. So I remember, and I don't know, it's just her also just being a Black woman, I think. Like, I was like, okay, I'm going to take my wig off. She was like, you don't have to. I was like, I want to. And then she was just like, okay. She said, everybody turn around. And I was like, she literally had all of them all turn around while I took and it's just like, just taking my wig off. But it's like, she just saw me as a woman and she didn't even have to say it. That was just something like, just a code that you just can't tell people. And she didn't have to do it. I was just there to get it, but that felt so amazing. So I booked the role, and I remember whenever we had these really, really emotional scenes, Ava would ask everyone to leave out. And like when it's emotional with someone, she would go and just talk to you. And I remember doing a Zoom recently with a class of young directors, and they were asking about Ava, and they're like, how can they be good directors? And I said, Ava comes to you when it's an emotional scene or intense scene. She has everyone to like, give you guys time, just you two. And she would like put her hand on your shoulder or something and just like talk to you. And it was something, I hope I have that type of experience again, because I've had some interesting experiences with directors, but just her, it's like, she was so calm and gentle, but so powerful. She didn't have to do anything that made you intimidated, which I've experienced before. She didn't have to say anything, but she was still such a presence that it made you want to do your best, not just for you, but because you just respected her so much. And she really cared. And you could just tell everyone on there, you can tell by the cast and crew, everyone that was curated by her, every single person. It was beyond.
That's so great. So great to hear that. First of all, thank you for that great journey. That was fantastic. But also, it's always great for me to hear how there are artists who are in charge, have power, who care for other artists in order to tell the story. That's everything. It helps us tell the story clearer. That's beautiful. This is a really good one. Who are your trans heroes and or sheroes?
I would say right now in India. I just talked about India so much.
Yeah.
I think my very first one, who really kind of molded the direction I would go in, was Octavia Saint Laurent. I saw her on Paris is Burning, and she was the reason I decided to find the ballroom scene and find an escape from my own hometown, to find a way to transition when I knew that I went through an abusive relationship, and going to therapy for that was the thing that actually sparked me saying, I'm not going to live my life for other people anymore, and I'm going to live my life for me. And that sparked me transitioning. So right when I knew I was going to actually do it, I thought about Octavia. I was on MySpace at the time. I found people in the ballroom scene. I moved to New York. I joined the ballroom scene, and that's how I found a way to transition. And I remember too, I got to have a few conversations with Octavia on MySpace before she passed away. And I remember at the beginning, right before I moved, I was like, I went out for the first time. And I went out for the second. Here's my look. I'm thinking about the name Isis. What do you think about it? And at the time, her name on MySpace was Heavenly Angel Octavia Saint Laurent. And I remember her saying, that name is so beautiful. It's like the goddess. I think it fits you perfectly. And I was looking forward to meeting her one day, and I didn't get to, but she was definitely my first trans hero.
I loved her. I met her several times, by the way.
Oh my God.
Because that's just because I'm old, dear. This is actually really good. This is one of my favorite questions that anybody asks anybody, and I love that somebody's asking you this. What would you tell your younger self?
I always like that question.
It's so good.
I would tell my younger self to not focus on boys, so early in my transition, and also just in general, because I saw my mom in 2 abusive marriages, and I didn't see early on how that was going to reflect in the way I chose relationships. I was just telling me to just go. It's hard though, because if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be here now. But I was just telling myself to just learn how to be okay by yourself, because I think I was always constantly looking for validation through love and through relationships. And if I would have had that validation within myself early on, maybe I wouldn't have dealt with some of the things. Oh, that's so hard, because then it wouldn't have had a butterfly effect for me to be who I am today. What would I tell myself? I would tell myself, bitch, one day you're going to be a top model. You're going to be a movie star.
There you go.
It's going to be long. It's going to be a long ride, girl, but buckle up, bitch, because you are going to serve it.
Because the thing about it is, that's exactly how I feel, girl. Because the thing about it is that if we change, I mean, we don't know, but if we change those moments, if we self-reflect before, in my opinion, the divine, which is a guide for myself, if we self-reflect before those lessons are learned, sometimes those lessons aren't internalized, especially for me. So I feel like a lot of times if I were to go back and say, don't do this and don't do that, first of all, I wouldn't listen. But second of all, because I would be way too concerned with doing that. But I would be really cautious, because I would be like, oh, wait a minute. This particular instance, this situation that you're going to go through, that you're going to behave really badly in, is going to teach you about this situation over here that you're going to do really well in. So I love what you just said, because for me, if I go back, I'm going to say, you know what is in store for you? Here's what's in store for you, honey. You're going to be on television. You're going to go to the Golden Globe Awards. You're going to meet the love of your life. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to go back to school. You're going to become a professor. You're going to actually find joy in your own self. All those things are going to happen if you just keep doing the thing you're doing. Just keep doing the thing you're doing, honey. And just keep doing it. You just keep practicing with that hairbrush in the mirror and pretending you're Judy Garland. You just keep dressing up in your mother's muumuu with her great big wiglets and the white vinyl boots. You just keep going to school, and you just keep navigating the best you can. Do the best you can. It's going to turn out great. Okay, let's see. So one last question. I love this. Hi, Isis. How are you doing? It's great. So this is really great, because it starts out that way. Hi, Isis. How are you doing? Can you share some tips for staying positive and engaged when the world feels like it's crumbling around us?
Oh. I feel like throughout we've touched on little teeny tidbits about that. I think taking time to yourself is the biggest key point. I think finding little things that make you happy. I love finding little shows on TV. I love watching things that make me laugh, or that's fantasy or magic or anything like that. Comedy, rom-coms. I like anything that can help me escape from what's going on, especially someone like me who spends so much time on social media, who has a presence on social media and sometimes work on social media. It's crazy a lot. So sometimes you need to get away. I don't want to watch something on TV that is about killing or it's going to bring me down. If I'm going to watch TV, I'm going to most likely watch something that's going to either lift me up, make me happy, make me laugh. I'm going to take a bath and relax. I'm going to eat something that makes my stomach feel good. You know, I'm just going to do little things to kind of just uplift me, that kind of help balance out all the craziness. I think I know a lot of us are, pretty much away from people. I think even FaceTime and calling people, calling your loved ones, checking in. I know for me, I haven't done that as much. I just FaceTime with my little brother earlier today, and it was actually really nice. I think that checking in with people you care about is a really good way to do that. I think continuing to dream. I think continuing to manifest the things that you want and what you see for the future is really important. For me, I have right here in front of my TV. It was on my vision board, but my vision board doesn't exist anymore. But it says series regular on a major TV network show, and that's like right in front of my TV right now. And that's my goal. That's my dream. I know that it's going to happen, and I'm going to really be able to help my family out the way I want to. And it's going to be on a show that I love, something I'm passionate about. And I just know it's happening. And for me, that is the thing that keeps me going, because like I say, I do isolate a lot. I'm very introverted, believe it or not, which is hard for people to believe. But so whenever I have these moments of like feeling down or wanting to like isolate, which I do, I tend to like look at something like that, and then it just reminds me that there's more. It reminds me that there's something to look forward to. It reminds me that it's going to be even better than it is, or than it was, because in this career we kind of, and not even just about my career, but in this career it's like up and down. But just in general, that's life for most of us. It's up and down. So I think focusing on a goal or something you want in the future that is attainable, but something that is going to really be beautiful in the grand scheme of your vision or your life. I think that's the way to help you get through, and I think that's the way to kind of help keep you in a really good emotional space. And yeah, that's what I do.
I love that you talk so much about self-care. That's so important. And there's so many transhumans that follow you throughout the world, just globally. And they look to you. They want to know what you're doing, and it's such a tumultuous time right now that they look to you not just as a guide, but also as an example. And those are two very different things. And so I love that you talk so much about self-care, because I think our community suffers from, the trans community, especially trans women of color, suffer from a lack of that, because we grow up really believing that we're really not worthy, really, and being told this in all kinds of different ways, from TV to film to movies, lack of representation, no representation, the men,
family, to men, yeah.
Exactly. So we're given very strong messages from a very early age, even now, that, we're really not worth, our lives are really not worth that much. They're worth something, but they're not worth that much. And when you grow up hearing that, you believe it's the truth. And so this idea that you have of like, what? Every once in a while, just be kind to yourself. Just be really good to yourself. Do the things that bring you joy. I don't know why you don't come over. That's my question.
You're in New York, right?
I'm not. I'm in the Long Beach, in the California.
Oh, you're in Long Beach.
I know. But Long Beach now is very old and very gay. It's not like it was before. So I'm with my people.
I got rid of my car a year ago, but I drove in there one time right before I got rid of it. I was like, I have to go to the aquarium just once, because I hate driving distance. And the aquarium kind of let me down, but that's a whole nother story. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so close but so far down here.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, we'll make it happen one day.
We need to make it happen. As soon as the zombie apocalypse goes away, then we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
My darling, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your spirit. And I was so looking forward to this, and I'm really just happy that we at least, I mean, I know it's weird that we're like talking in front of the world, but the business is so strange you and I are in, that like this is the only time we really get a chance to speak to each other.
Yeah.
So it was really a joy for me, and I've been wanting this to happen since forever. So I'm very appreciative of you taking time out of your day and coming down.
Same to you. I really appreciate you doing this, and the conversation was amazing. It was so effortless, and we really, I feel uplifted and empowered, and I really hope everyone can see this conversation.
I hope so too. I hope so too. And thank you, Gina and John and Ash and everyone at the LGBT Center in Hollywood for making this happen for us. This is so great to happen during Pride Month, and it's great to happen, period. And now it should happen more often, not just because it's Pride, but just because. That'd be good.
I agree.
Thanks, hon. And have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Let it be gay.
Let it be gay this day. We'll just keep doing this until they tell us to cut.